In 1977, one woman changed the face of beauty pageantry forever. She walked onto a stage in the Dominican Republic and did something no 1 inches the history of that competition had ever done before. Nearly 50 years later, people are still asking the same questions. What does she look like today? What has she done with her life since that crown was placed on her head? And why does her story still resonate so deeply in 2026? Her name is Janelle Commissiong. Today, we're walking through her incredible journey from a young girl growing up between Trinidad and New York City, to a history-making crown, to the full and remarkable life she's built in the decades since. Stay with us, because her story is one of grace, resilience, and quiet trailblazing that continues to inspire people all over the world. Janelle Commissiong was born on the 15th of June 1953 in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Her mother was Venezuelan, her father was Trinidadian, and for much of her early childhood she was raised by her aunts while her parents lived and worked abroad. At just 13 years old, she left the island and moved to New York City, where she would spend her formative teenage years navigating a completely different world. In New York, young Janelle enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Technology, where she studied and earned a degree that seemed to point her toward a career in the fashion industry. She was smart, focused, and hardworking, but nobody around her could have predicted that this quiet, studious young woman was about to make history on one of the biggest stages in the world. In 1976, she made the decision to return home to Trinidad. It was there that everything changed for her. She entered the Miss Trinidad and Tobago Universe competition and won, earning her a spot representing her country at the International Miss Universe pageant. Then came the 16th of July 1977. Inside the National Theater of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, Janelle Commissiong made history. She was crowned Miss Universe, becoming the first black woman and the first woman from the Caribbean ever to win the title in the pageant's history. Just days before that final crowning moment, she had also been named Miss Photogenic, making her the first black woman to win that particular award as well. Let's take a moment to really sit with what that meant. This was 1977. Beauty pageantry and so much of Western pop culture at the time had rarely, if ever, placed a black woman at the center of the global conversation about beauty. Commissiong's win wasn't just a personal triumph for her, it was a cultural turning point. It told millions of young black and brown girls watching around the world that they belonged on that stage too, that beauty didn't have a single face, and that history could be rewritten in real time. She later spoke publicly about the weight of that moment, describing her win as a step in the right direction, while also being careful to note that a pageant crown alone couldn't undo the deeper struggles black women faced in the beauty industry and in society more broadly. That balance of pride and humility would go on to define the rest of her public life. During her reign as Miss Universe, Commissiong didn't simply attend galas and pose for photographs. She used her platform in a meaningful way, traveling across Africa, Asia, and Europe, speaking out for civil rights and for global peace, and representing people of African descent on an international stage in a way that had never really been done before from that particular position. In an ironic twist that historians and pageant fans still discuss today, when her reign came to an end in 1978, Commissiong was the one tasked with crowning her successor, a white woman representing apartheid-era South Africa. For many watching, it was a striking and uncomfortable reminder of just how complicated the global fight for racial equality still was, even in the very same year that barriers were being broken. Back home in Trinidad and Tobago, she was embraced as a national hero. In 1977, she received the Trinity Cross, the country's highest national honor. The Trinidad and Tobago Postal Service issued not one, but 3 separate postage stamps bearing her image. And decades later, in 2017, the government renamed a major street in the capital city of Port of Spain to Queen Janelle Commissiong Street, a permanent tribute etched right into the map of her homeland. Commissiong built a rich and full life well beyond the crown. She pursued modeling, launched her own cosmetics line, and eventually opened her own clothing business back in Trinidad, where she went on to mentor a new generation of young Trinidadian fashion designers, giving many of them their very first break in the industry. Now, let's talk about her personal life, because it's part of what makes her story feel so real and so human. After her reign as Miss Universe ended, Commissiong married businessman Brian Bowen, the founder of Bowen Marine, a boat manufacturing company in Trinidad. Tragically, Bowen died in an accident in November of 1989. In the aftermath of that devastating loss, Commissiong made the bold decision to step in and take over leadership of his boat-building business herself, stepping into an industry that, at the time, was run almost entirely by men. She later reflected that it was a hostile environment at first, with employees and customers alike doubting whether a former beauty queen could possibly run a manufacturing business. Over time, through sheer persistence and determination, she earned their respect and successfully kept the company running. Later in life, Commissiong remarried, this time to fellow Trinidadian businessman Alwyn Chow. Together, the couple welcomed a daughter, Sasha, into their family. Beyond these publicly documented details, Commissiong has largely kept the rest of her private family life out of the spotlight, choosing instead to let her decades of public work and advocacy speak for her. And honestly, that's worth respecting. She's shown us that a life well lived doesn't need to be lived entirely under a microscope. Her professional accomplishments continued well into her later years. From 2012 to 2015, she served as Vice President of the Tourism Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago. Then in 2017, she was appointed president of the country's tourist destination management company, proof that her influence on her homeland extended far beyond anything she accomplished on the pageant stage decades earlier. So, where is Janelle Commissiong today? In recent years, she has remained a highly respected public figure in Trinidad and Tobago, known for her ongoing involvement in tourism, business, and large-scale event planning, including carnival festivities that she has helped organize for well over 15 years. One especially meaningful moment came in 2023, when nearly 50 years after her own historic win, Commissiong returned to the Miss Universe stage, this time as a judge at the pageant held in San Salvador. It was a full-circle moment for pageant fans around the world, watching the very woman who broke barriers back in 1977 now helping select the next generation of title holders. We want to be careful and honest here. Specific details about her day-to-day life in 2026 aren't widely documented in public sources, and rather than speculate, we think it's more respectful to stick to what has actually been verified. What we do know is that she has remained active in public life, continuing to be invited to speak at events celebrating Black history and the history of pageantry, and she's remained a beloved and recognizable figure to fans who followed her career from the very beginning. In interviews over the years, she has reflected candidly on what it meant to be a first. She's described it as both an incredible honor and a heavy responsibility, explaining that being a trailblazer means you're never really off duty because people are always watching to see how you carry yourself, how you handle both praise and criticism, and how you use whatever platform you've been given. By nearly every account, she has carried herself with remarkable grace for almost 5 decades. It's genuinely impossible to talk about the history of beauty pageants or representation in media more broadly without talking about Janelle Commissiong. Her win in 1977 cracked open a door that had remained firmly closed for the entire history of the Miss Universe pageant up to that point. Every Black woman who has worn that crown since owes something in some way to the path she carved out first, often against significant odds and skepticism. But her legacy goes beyond pageantry alone. Her story is a powerful reminder that resilience doesn't stop the moment the spotlight fades. She lost a husband, unexpectedly rebuilt, and ran a business in an industry that doubted her at every turn, raised a family, and kept showing up decade after decade for her country, for her community, and for the countless young women who continue to look up to her. Nearly 50 years after that unforgettable night in Santo Domingo, Janelle Commissiong isn't just remembered as a beauty queen from another era. She's remembered as a woman who took a single historic moment and turned it into a lifetime of genuine purpose. If her story moved you the way it moved us, let us know in the comments below. Do you remember watching pageants back in the 1970 seconds? Did you already know about her incredible legacy before watching this video? Share your memories and thoughts with us, hit that like button, and subscribe.